So there are two main types of tomato pruning methods for indeterminate tomatoes, and these are used for maximum crop yields. So what do I mean by indeterminate tomatoes? Indeterminate varieties are initially decumbent, and they are growing as a type of grape vine almost that can reach up to 2 meters. Indeterminate tomatoes are perennial plants, and they can bear berries for more than a year, but in cold climates, they become annual. Determinate tomatoes are cultivars of formed bushes not taller than a meter and are always annual in any climate. Determinate tomatoes do not need pruning at all, so I don't recommend this for determinate varieties. So this very simple method for pruning indeterminate tomatoes I recommend for climate zones 4 to 5, where winter time begins to break vegetation. This is sometime around October, mid-November. For warmer climates, the top tomato pruning method might be different, and the number of flowering clusters might be different. It depends on the grower and the variety. Tomato pruning should start when the first flowering cluster appear on the stem. It is needed to remove all of the bottom leaves and the suckers from the bottom of the vine until the first leaf, where the first flowering cluster has appeared. I will explain why I have to do that. Suckers are basal shoots that grow from the base of the tomatoes, and they take sugar and energy from the main stem, and they develop berries. The bottom leaves over time will get yellow, and that is an absolutely normal process, but instead of participating in plant photosynthesis, it will take sugar and energy to themselves, and it will slow the development and the ripening of the berries. Besides, close proximity to the ground can increase the probability of pathogenic microorganisms to contaminate the leaves. So after I'm done with the suckers and the leaves, I need to leave my plants alone until they develop a more needed amount of flowering clusters. Normally 5 to 6 for hardness zone 4 to 5. The number of fruiting clusters depends on the time that is left until the first frost. Ideally, the last one should be laid a month before the first frost. It is necessary to leave 2 more leaves above the last flowering cluster and to prune the top. The first plant should look like this on my scheme here. Pruning is not a one-time thing. It's not one action. It could be done over time while the tomato plant is growing. So remove all the leaves and the suckers from the bottom of the plant until the first leaf with the flowering clusters, and then grow all of the fruiting clusters needed, and then you prune the top. It's pretty simple. What will happen without pruning the top part, the tomatoes will continue to grow even if the temperature begins to drop in the fall, and new flowering clusters won't have enough time to develop the berries. Instead, they will take energy and sugar from the already existing berries and once again slow down the ripening. So the second method of pruning is used when under the first flowering cluster, very well developed, strong, and thicker sucker will appear. In this case, the tomato vine should be formed in 2 branches. All the extra suckers and leaves below those large suckers should be removed, like in the first method. It is generally not recommended to remove well-developed suckers to avoid ruining the plant and causing any other harm. Preferably remove the suckers when they are 5 to 7 centimeters long. No more, because you want to avoid damaging your plant. Flowering clusters should be divided between the main stem and the side branch in proportion 60 to 40%. For example, if I'm keeping 5 flowering clusters, I will leave 3 on the main branch and 2 on the suckers. You can see this on the scheme here. Do not forget to prune the tops of the main stem and suckers when all needed flowering clusters are laid. So another interesting idea, which is not often mentioned, is if you put the suckers, you cut suckers and you simply put them in a jar of water for 3 to 4 days, a nice rooting system will occur, and a nice rooting system will develop. Let's say if I'm pruning my tomatoes in early June, I will have enough time to grow a nice free tomato plant from suckers, although it will be delayed from the mother plant. It is still highly possible to receive 3 to 4 extra tomato clusters from them until the end of the vegetation season. Besides, in the summertime, tomatoes grow much faster than in spring. So if you provide good watering, it should grow. even if the tomatoes from my suckers don't ripen, I have a very delicious recipe for green, sour, spicy tomatoes just ready in 3 days. So if you want to check that out, please do. The link will be below. And thank you so much for watching. Leave any comments or questions below, and don't forget to subscribe.